This song is called Alice's Restaurant. It's about Alice in the restaurant. But Alice's Restaurant was never the name of a restaurant. It's just the name of the song. And that's why I'm calling it Alice's Restaurant. Well, it's why Arlo Guthrie called it Alice's Restaurant and still calls it Alice's Restaurant. And so that's why I'm calling it Alice's Restaurant, because it's his song. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Well, it was just over 30 Thanksgivings ago that I was born, but it was 56 years ago, 56 Thanksgivings ago, 56 years ago on Thanksgiving, that Arlo Guthrie and his buddy went to visit Alice at the restaurant. Now, Alice didn't live at the restaurant. She lived at a church nearby the restaurant in the bell tower with her husband Ray and Facha the dog. And living in the bell tower like that, they used to have a lot of room downstairs where the pews used to be. And seeing as how they had all that room, and they didn't have any of the pews, they decided they didn't have to take out their garbage for a long time. And Arlo and his friend got up there and they found the garbage in there, and they decided it would be a friendly gesture to take the garbage down to the town dump. So they took the half a ton of garbage and loaded it into their red VW microbus with shovels and rakes and implements of destruction and drove on down to the town dump. But when they got there was a sign that said closed on Thanksgiving. And they had never heard of a dump being closed on Thanksgiving. But so it was. So they drove off with tears in their eyes into the sunset, looking for another place to put the garbage. And they didn't find one until they came to a side road. And off the side of the side road, there was a 15-foot cliff. And at the bottom of that cliff, there was another pile of garbage. And they figured one big pile of garbage was better than two little piles of garbage. And rather than bring that one up, they decided to throw theirs down. And that's what they did. And they drove back to the church, and they had a Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat. And they went to sleep until they woke up the next morning when they got a phone call from Officer Obie. And he said, "Kid, we found your name on an envelope at the bottom of half a ton of garbage, and I just wanted to know if you had any information about it." And Arlo said, "Yes, Officer Obie, I cannot tell a lie. I put that envelope under that garbage." And after talking to Obie for about 45 minutes on the telephone, they arrived at the truth of the matter, and Obie said that they had to go down and pick up the garbage and also had to go down and talk to him at the police officer station. So Arlo and his friend got in their red VW microbus with their shovels and rakes and their implements of destruction, and they figured there were one or two things that could have happened when they went down to the police officer station. And the first thing was they figured Officer Obie could have given him a medal for being so brave and honest on the telephone, which wasn't very likely, and they didn't expect that. But the other thing was that he could have bawled him out and told him to never be seen driving garbage around the vicinity again, and that's what they expected. But when they got to the police officer station, it turned out that there was a third possibility that nobody had counted upon, and they were both immediately arrested, handcuffed. And Arlo said, "I don't think I can pick up this garbage with these handcuffs on." And Obie said, "Shut up, kid. Get in the back of the patrol car." And so they got in the back of the patrol car and they drove to the quote-unquote scene of the crime. And now, friends, I want to tell you about the town of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, not too far from me, where all this happened. And in 1965, when this took place, the town had 3 stop signs, 2 police officers, and 1 police car. But when Arlo Guthrie got to the scene of the crime, there were 5 police officers and 3 police cars, being the biggest crime in 50 years. And everybody wanted to get in the newspaper story about it. And they were using all kinds of cop equipment that they had lying around the police officer station. They were taking plaster tire tracks, footprints, dog-smelling prints, and they took 27 8x10 color glossy photographs with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against them. They took pictures of the approach, the getaway, the northwest corner, the southwest corner, and that's not to mention the aerial photography. And after the ordeal, they all went back to the jail, and Obie said, "Kid, I'm gonna put you in a cell." So they put him in a cell. And he said, "Kid, I want your wallet and your belt." And Arlo said to Obie, I understand why you want my wallet, so I can't spend any money here in the cell. But I don't understand why you want my belt." And Obie said, "Well, kid, we don't want any hangings." And Arlo said, "Obie, do you think I'm gonna hang myself for littering?" And Obie said he was just making sure. And friends, Obie was, because he took out the toilet seat so Arlo couldn't hit himself over the head and drown, and he took the toilet paper so that Arlo couldn't, roll the toilet paper out the window and make an escape. Obie was making sure all right, and about 4 or 5 hours later, Alice, remember Alice? It's a song about Alice. Anyway, Alice came down to the station and she had a few nasty words to say to Obie on the side. And she bailed Arlo and his buddy out of jail, and they went back to the church and they had another Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, and they went to sleep. And they didn't get up until the next morning when they all had to go to court. They walked in and they sat down, and Obie came in with the 27 8x10 color glossy photographs with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one. And a man came in and he said, "All rise." And they all stood up. And Obie stood up with the 27 8x10 color glossy photographs. And the judge walked in with a seeing eye dog. And he sat down. And they all sat down. And Obie looked at the seeing eye dog, and then at the 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and the paragraph on the back of each one, and then looked at the seeing eye dog, and then at the 27 8x10 color glossy photographs with the circles and arrows and the paragraph on the back of each one. And he began to cry, because Obie came to realize it was just a case of American blind justice, and there was nothing he could do about it. And the judge was not going to look at his 27 8x10 color glossy photographs with the circles and arrows and the paragraph on the back of each one, explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against Arlo Guthrie. But they were fined $25 and they had to go pick up the garbage in the snow. But that's not what I'm here to tell you about. Because that's not what Arlo Guthrie was here to tell us about when he first started singing this song it's over 50 years ago. He was talking about the draft. So there used to be this building. still there. It's like covered in shiny glass stuff, so you don't know what it. Anyway, there used to be this building in New York City on Whitehall Street where you walked in and you got injected, inspected, detected, infected, neglected, and selected. And Arlo went to get his physical examination one day, and he walked in and he sat down and he got good and drunk the night before because he wanted to feel his best when he went in that morning. Because he wanted to look like the all-American. He wanted to be the all-American kid from New York City. He wanted to be that all-American kid from New York. So he walked in and he sat down and he was hung down, brung down, hung up, and all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. And he walked in and sat down and they gave him a piece of paper and said, "Kid, see the psychiatrist, room 604. And Arlo went up there and he said, "Shrink, I want to kill. I want to kill. I want to see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth. I want to kill." And he started jumping up and down and yelling, "Kill, kill." And the shrink started jumping up and down with him and singing, "Kill, kill, kill." And then they were both jumping up and down on the couch and yelling, "Kill, kill." And then the sergeant came over and he pinned a medal on Arlo and sent him down the hall and said, "You're our boy." And Arlo didn't feel great about that, but he proceeded down the hall, get more injections, inspections, detections, neglections, and all kinds of stuff that they were doing up at the thing there. And he was there for 2, 3, 4 hours, and he was there for a long time, going through all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things, and he was just having a tough time there. And they were inspecting, injecting every part of him, and they were leaving no part untouched. And he proceeded through. And when he finally came to the last man, Arlo walked in. He sat down after the whole big thing there, and Arlo walked up and he said, "What do you want?" And the man said, "Kid, we only got one question. You ever been arrested?" And Arlo proceeded to tell him the story of the Alice's Restaurant Massacre with full orchestration and 5-part harmony, and the man stopped him right there and he said, "Kid, you ever go to court?" And Arlo proceeded to tell him the story of the 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and the paragraph on the back of each one. And the man stopped him right there and he said, "Kid, I need you to go sit down on that bench that says Group W. Now, kid." And Arlo walked over to the bench, Group W. And Group W is where they used to put you if you might not have been moral enough to join the army after committing your special crime. And there were all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly-looking people on the bench there. There were arsonists, larcenists, parsonists, and the meanest, nastiest, ugliest parsonist came over and sat next to him, came over and said he was mean and ugly and nasty, horrible, all kinds of things. And he sat down next to Arlo and he said, "What'd you get?" And Arlo said, "I didn't get nothing." He said, "I had to pay you $25 and pick up garbage." He said, "What were you arrested for, kid?" And Arlo said, "Littering." And they all moved away from Arlo on the bench there. Till he said, "And creating a nuisance," and they all came back and shook his hand, and they had a great time on the bench talking about crime and arsony and larceny and parsony and all kinds of groovy things that they were talking about on the bench there. And everything was fine, and they were smoking cigarettes and all kinds of things until the sergeant came over, had some paper in his hand and held it up and said, "Kids, this piece of paper's got 47 words, 37 sentences, 58 words, and we want to know the details of the crime time, the crime, any other thing. You gotta say pretend chewing about the crime. I want to know arresting officer's name and any other kind of thing you gotta say." And he talked like that for 45 minutes. And nobody understood a word that he said. But they had fun filling out the forms and playing with the pencils on the bench there. And Arlo filled out the massacre, the 4-part harmony, and wrote it down there just like it was, and everything was fine. And he put down the pencil and he turned over the piece of paper, and there on the other side, in the middle of the other side, away from everything else on the other side, in parentheses, capital letters, quotated, read the following words: "Kid, have you rehabilitated yourself?" And Arlo went over to the sergeant and he said, "Sergeant, you got a lot of damn gall to ask me if I've rehabilitated myself. I mean, I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here on the bench. I'm sitting here on the Group W bench. Because you want to know if I'm moral enough to join the army, burn women's, kids, houses, villages, after being a litter bug." And the sergeant looked at Arlo and he said, "Kid, we don't like your kind. And we're going to send your fingerprints off to Washington. And friends, somewhere in Washington, enshrined in some little folder, is a study in black and white of Arlo Guthrie's fingerprints. And the only reason I'm singing this song to you now is in case you may know somebody in a similar situation, or you may be in a similar situation. And if you are in a situation like that, there's only one thing you can do, and that is to walk into the shrink's office, just walk in and say, 'You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant,' and walk out. And you know, if just one person does it, they may think they're, really sick and they might not take them. And if 2 people do it in harmony, they might think they're both queers. And not only might they think they're both queers, but they might think it's 1967 and that the rules haven't changed yet, and then they might not take either of them. But if 3 people do it, can you imagine 3 people in the year 2021 walking in, singing a bar of Alice's restaurant, and walking out? They may think it's an organization. And can you imagine 50 people a day walking in, singing a bar of Alice's restaurant, walking out? And friends, they may think it's a movement. And that's what it was, and what it still is. The Alice's Restaurant anti-massacre movement. And all you gotta do to join in is sing it the next time it comes around on the guitar with feeling. So we'll wait for it to come around on the guitar. And by we, I mean John's gonna sing it with me. He's here, I swear. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. One more time. You can get anything you want at Alice's hope. Let's hope. Okay. The goal is do this one time. I'm horrified. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Walk right. I want to do it one more time. One more time.
Take 15.
Oh, I made myself leave.
Like actually?
It was an accident.
Wow.
I don't know. I touched the wood. It got angry.
It got angry.
Well. Same.
Wonder
We're knuckle
Twin wounds.
buddies.
Activate.
I feel absurd. I'm going crazy. Wait, I should be more like the Glam Kitchen lady.
You should be more like the blanket journey.
The Glam Kitchen lady. My singing is too calm. My dog won't let me record. She doesn't want me to be successful.
Quiet.
You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. It's still not great. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back. Just a half a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. It's not there. I need to practice.